Progress. Progress is an odd thing to gauge. It isn't a measurement of time, and it isn't the culmination of miraculous feats. It's just a word, used to steer men who lack vision into the direction of battle or sacrifice. But it is also something more than that. It is an idea. Take the city, for example. Long ago, during the Battle of the Six Fronts, or the counteroffensive of Twilight Gap, humanity made progress. It practically strived for it. Its ambition to survive kept in check by the myriad of opponents that surround it. Their spears poke and prod, looking for weakness. And when those opponents find this, they assume victory. Humanity is weak, thought the united houses of the fallen, only to be met with a counteroffensive that broke their will. To the Vex, humanity is naive, foolish in its endeavor to understand time and the universe around it, and then the Templar, Atheon, and all the oracles that surrounded them with visions of delusion fell silent. To the Hive, we are arrogant. How could humanity and its allies stand against a god such as Crota? But Guardians would force him to bend the knee, banishing him back to the Nether from whence he came. That is progress. Now we stand at the precipice, looking onwards to the Reef, or more specifically, the Vestian outpost. The so-called Queen now seeks our aid for the first time since we became aware of their existence. Her brood, the Awoken, have been betrayed by a supposed ally, the fallen House of Wuvs. To be fair, ally is a bit of a stretch. Servitude is much more proper. While we still remain unaware of how exactly the Queen wrestled power from the wolf nobility, it has been suspected for some time that she received direct aid from the Nine. But the actions of the Queen, imprisoning the remaining House of Wuvs nobility and failing to eliminate Calyx Prime, the Wuvs machine god, have led us to this point. It has been proven that the fallen houses as we understand them are untrustworthy, and the simple elimination of a Kell or a few rising Archons is not enough to make them loyal subjects. Perhaps the term wolf proclaims too much honor to these fallen, for their actions describe them as no more than a pack of stray dogs incapable of mastery. However, one name appears more often than any other: Skolas. He appears to be this rebellion's leader. A fallen who caught the scent of freedom seeks to re-establish his house through brutality. His attacks have caused chaos and dissidence within the Reef and the territories recently made secure by Guardians. The revival of any fallen house is always a considerate threat to the safety of our people. But when this house has direct knowledge of the Reef's political and potentially economic weaknesses, the threat of their resuscitation is far more critical. Skolas, the Wolf Kell. Originally, he was predestined to be sent as a gift to the Nine, a show of good faith from the Queen to her unseen benefactors. After the Queen eliminated the original Wolf Kell, she incarcerated the remaining nobility in the Prison of Elders. We have known for some time that the security of this prison is in question. The Archon priest, Asgore, was found in collusion with the House of Winter on Venus. We knew Asgore was captured during the Queen's campaign against the House of Wuvs, but why he was allowed to live after his crusade against humanity and the Awoken is beyond this point of conjecture. Asgore was a prime disciple of the Wuvs machine god Calyx Prime. The whereabouts of Calyx are also in question. It is presumed that Skolas ultimately answers to the will of his mechanical god, but in what form or to what effect is unknown. To date, the only prime that has been eliminated is Sepix Prime from the House of Devils, situated in the Cosmodrome. We know now that the House of Devils has lost a great deal of its power base after the defeat of its prime, and we can utilize this information and apply it to the House of Wuvs. But Calyx and Skolas are not the only threat. Skolas has an assortment of underlings attempting to gain his favor and further his ambitions. Their names are Paskin, the King Baron, and Lispseeker, the Wolf Blade, and they are most formidable. Skolas is undoubtedly attempting to consolidate his power, and he is in the perfect position to do so. He must know the Queen will not simply allow him to leave his shackles, or even that the Tower will allow another fallen house to ravage the system. We assume Skolas is attempting to unify the remaining vagrants inside the House of Devils, the House of Exile, and the House of Winter. All houses have seen considerable loss. Most of their leadership has been expunged or driven to ground. Skolas will use this as an ample opportunity to unify the political structure of these remnants. The last time the fallen houses were unified, the city's outer holdings burned, and we were forced into a corner. Fortunately, we broke through the tide of fallen, but at the cost of so many. Even in the city today, long after the Fallen Alliance had been shattered, portions go abandoned, with only ghosts and cobwebs to occupy their ramparts. It goes without saying, if Skolas is allowed to continue down this path of unity, we will assuredly see another moment of desperation. This cannot come to pass, and it is perhaps the sole reason the consensus is so willing to move forward with the Queen's plan, to eliminate Skolas and those in collusion with him. If you believe mastery over your fate, then perhaps the Vestian outpost is your next destination amongst the stars. Awaiting you will be the utilitarian society of the Awoken, subservient to the Queen. Guiding you upon a path of vengeance for her people will be Petra Venj, the original emissary sent to the Tower and a member of the illustrious Queen's Guard. However, be warned. Her cold reception to Guardians when she spent time in the Tower before the fall of Crota has been noted in many reports. She may be more warrior than diplomat, but her loyalty lies to the Queen before your safety. The bounties offered by the Queen and the Reef may seem incredibly generous, but the tasks you are to undertake are equally dangerous. After all, you are taking advantage of the Queen's misfortune, but do not think for a second the Reef is incapable of understanding military logistics. You see, the Queen is quite clever. She is utilizing a foreign force whose direct objectives align with the elimination of any hostile force in the solar system, and incentivizing them with advanced armaments, new ship designs, and a horde of network contacts. In other terms, the Queen and her advisors undoubtedly know exactly what they are doing, and they are well aware of how to get a trained military force to support their endeavors. As Petra is likely to hand you an assortment of bounties, each with an undeniable reward, be cautious, as the current political climate of the Reef is quite precarious. In the past, the Queen's forces have fired upon and eliminated a dead orbit faction ship investigating an anomaly in the Reef. Now, border disputes have always been a constant variable between developing powers, but an open act of hostility? Of course, the factions are not always considered the Tower's exemplar citizens, but they are still our brothers and sisters, regardless of their ulterior motives. Be careful whom you choose to place your trust in. The Reef may prove to be a truly treacherous place. There is still much more to discover. The House of Judgment, the Disciples of Osiris, and the mysteries secluded inside the Prison of Elders. The rewards for accomplishing the Queen's bounties are unfathomable, but so is the loss of a guardian. If you seek glory or towering riches, then perhaps you are fated to see battle in the Reef. Be warned, we have never seen our footing so uncertain.